Hello, my name is Joshua Singleton. I'm a senior public relations major with an emphasis in entertainment and events. And today my presentation will be on the connection between public relations and music. I'd like to start off with a question. Consider your favorite song. And I know it can be hard to choose just one, so maybe one of your favorite songs. And really sit on that. I would ask, what is it? Who is it by? Does it make you think of a person, a place, or maybe a moment? And in that, why is it important to you? I would argue that music is intrinsically important to all of us. I think that it acts as a sort of catharsis, as like an outpouring of emotion, whether you are creating it or you are listening to it. In that sense, it connects us, as it allows us to identify who we are and identify with one another along the way. And as an art and as an industry, music is extremely important to our culture. And through my presentation, I kind of hope to touch on that and how PR relates in that process. So first, I want to touch on the correlation between music and culture in four main ways, and that's social media, paid media, news, and politics. In social media, music is highly important. We see it all the time. On Instagram, musicians make up 20 of the top 50 most followed accounts, and on Twitter, that's 24 of the top 50. On YouTube, 14 of the top 15 most viewed videos of all time are music videos, with the #1 spot being held by none other than Despacito at 5.3 billion views. Coming in at a close second is See You Again, which is a title track off of the Fast and Furious 7 movie. Worldwide sensation, Fast and Furious series. That movie amassed 1.5 billion worldwide, and that song and that movie go hand in hand. It seems that everyone's heard it. It was my graduation song for high school. I didn't choose it, but I didn't. But See You Again, it made $2.9 million off of YouTube alone. Concerts are another huge form of paid media, with the highest grossing concert tour of all time being U2's 360 Degrees tour that ran from 2009 to 2011 and amassed more than $764 million. In news, we also see it often tragically, whether it's the death of Mac Miller or Demi Lovato's drug overdose, harrowing things. But we see that musicians have become more than that. They've become cultural icons who, whether you agree or not, we often look to for opinions, for trends, for music. And in that sense, we see that it's not just tabloid fodder, but when things like this happen, they become international headlines. In politics, music has always been prevalent, whether it's Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, which is a commentary on the Vietnam War, to Public Enemy's Fight the Power, a commentary on the discrimination and injustices to African Americans in inner cities, or U2's Sunday Bloody Sunday, which is one of my personal favorites, but is an anti-war protest song. We see that music has always been ingrained in politics, and given our current political climate, I feel always will be. Now that we understand where music and culture correlate, we also need to see that behind music, there's the music industry, and we need to see how music is created and then disseminated to the public. I kind of broke it down because there's a lot of components, but music starts with songwriters and composers, and that's where it's created, and that moves to singers, musicians, band leaders, and those are the people who perform the music. From there, we move into the companies and professionals who produce and then sell recorded music, and that can be publishers, producers, recording studios, record labels, etc. Lastly, we have those that help and organize the live music, and there you have sound engineers, booking agents, road crew. We also need to see that as culture changes over time, the music also changes, and in that sense, the music industry also has to change. It all relates. Profits for the music industry were at a high in 1999 at the height of CD due to their affordability and accessibility. But times have changed. Since then, we no longer have CD docks and cassette ports, but instead we have smartphones and Bluetooth. And the way we prefer to listen to music is we want it conveniently, we want it easily, we want it accessible, and we want as much as we can have with paying the littlest amount possible. But what effect does this have? Here you have streaming enter. There was a plateau and a huge drop after 1999 when CDs took a toll. Since then, though, the market's been growing, and in 2017 it grew 8.1%, and rounding out to 17.3 billion for the music industry. In 2017, streaming accounted for 38.4% of that revenue, a total of $6.6 billion. And for the first time ever, we saw the single largest revenue source for the music industry being streaming. But what are the effects of that? Unfortunately, and this is a presentation I did in Sinclair's class for writing for PR, according to analysis of Sony's deal with Spotify, some artists only make 15 to 20% of streaming revenue back, with the average per stream payout being between $0.006 and $0.0084. That means that per one stream of a song, an artist makes 1 cent, less than that. From here, Spotify, I don't know if many of you have it, but they do Year in Music, where they give you year-end analysis. It's a comprehensive analysis of your listening history, and I'm going to be using that in this small section. But in 2016, I listened to 80,465 minutes of music, and multiplied by Spotify's per stream payout, the artists I listened to earned a collective $676. But split between the total of the 926 artists I listened to, each artist earned a relative 73 cents for a year's worth of my listening. So put simply, artists were not being compensated well. So streaming, yes, is making artists money, but that's not enough to live. A negative effect we see of that is that artists are then forced to tour more extensively, tour prices go up, and music becomes less accessible to lower income people. And if music is an art form, what does that say for our culture? So we understand that music is a vital part of culture. Our culture affects it as much as it affects us. And we see that there's an industry behind the music, but how does that industry affect the artists? How does that affect us? Is our culture of accessibility inconveniencing the very people that we desire content from? And so is there a better way to do this? Enter public relations. As we've all heard, this is the definition. I'm not going to read it, but because I want to define it in a different way. I think that PR seeks to bridge the gap. It wants to improve communication where it can be improved and build relationships where it can be built. Another way to put that, in my opinion, PR is an avenue for things to be made right through communication, understanding, and research work. Communication is just the first step, and when done well, that communication should lead to understanding. But that's only halfway through. From there, you need well-researched work, and that's where you have things like the RPI process, SMART objectives, and that's where you really see plans come to fruition. We see PR affect other aspects of culture in a variety of ways. PR professionals shape public opinion every single day on a variety of issues, whether it's Sarah Huckabee Sanders as White House press secretary, if it's Southwest Airlines after a tragedy, if it's Joel Osteen in Lakewood Church after Hurricane Harvey, or it's ABC after the Roseanne cancellation. In each of these instances, we see major organizations or individuals having to issue press releases, public statements. Really what we see is individuals needing to explain to the public something that's happened, because the public wants understanding, they want clarity, and there needs to be strategic communication there. And we can have that in music. Very notably, this past October, for the first time, the Music Modernization Act was passed. And what this act did is, for the first time in decades, there were actual laws that laid the foundation for the way streaming will work moving forward. What this law did, put simply, is that it allowed for greater compensation for artists. It allowed for more recognition for songwriters. Now on Spotify, if you hit the little dots, you can go down and there are now song credits. So not only credits the producers and the people who are singing, but the songwriters and the engineers. And what this allows for, and what this means for PR, is that for the first time you have the music industry, the singers, the songwriters, the engineers, you have the streaming services, and you have the public all communicating, leading to an act that is beneficial for each party. Because we still get to stream, the streaming services still make revenue, but now the artists are finally being compensated well for their art. And that's just one example of the way that PR can affect the music industry. We can continue to improve the way streaming services compensate artists. We can continue to lower the prices of concerts and music festivals in order to make these things more accessible to more people. We can encourage people to support artists by buying physical copies of music, whether that's CDs or records. In all of these instances, PR professionals can work to negotiate terms between songwriters, labels, performers, and the public. So Lastly, I would ask you to consider once again your favorite song. What is it and why is it important to you? In my time here at Bio's PR program, I've learned that there is a place for me in the music industry. I can use the knowledge I've gained here to continue to improve the way music is produced, distributed, and received by the public. In that way, I'll be able to share my passion with others through my career, and I truly can't think of a greater blessing. I'd like to end by saying that music is powerful and it connects us, and it's in pursuit of that connected and honest relationship that I find my purpose in public relations. Thank you.